Goeienaand, good evening fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and a video that I put up earlier today which I called What Have We Done to Africa, and I'll link it below this video, has actually resulted in quite a few people emailing me who actually came from that sort of era. And one of them is Kevin. And he writes, "This story rings so vividly within the depths of my very young childhood memories. For I was born in 1951 in a little town called Luanshya, northern Rhodesia. So yes, I too, just like you, am an African, now regarded as an alien. For example, because of my birthplace, I do not qualify for the new credit card type, ID card. As tiny as I was never allowed to play out of sight for fear of reprisals from the locals, and I can still hear the bongo drums rolling through the still nights. And I have to tell you that when I lived in Aringa, I could hear the drums as well. You know, it was just the African drums playing. That was back in the 50s, 1950s. Only when it was overcast would the sound be muffled by the dense air, or because the locals also went indoors. Lightning bolts, blue in colour, would float around, and when it found on earth, it would explode like a bomb. I recall how we had huge anthills, about 20 meters in diameter and about 2 meters high, in our back garden, which was very rich in nutrients. My parents had bananas, pawpaws, avos, mangoes, plus some growing on this mound in which we used to play hide and seek. I remember two young friends, Nathan and Natalie Dutoy, who lived next door and would come over to play. Natalie was a little older than I, who one day proceeded to climb a pawpaw tree which collapsed beneath her weight and she broke her right arm. The roof of our house had thick thatching with large overhangs as protection from the heat. The floors, walls and walkways were all made of solid cement as protection against the termites and army ants, which were abundant, and I learnt the hard way to quickly avoid them. Across the road from our house was a large park, which was mowed by a huge green self-propelled lawnmower with a barrel-type blade in front. I was petrified of this monster for fear of it getting out of hand or the operator losing control of the machine. Domestic gardens were usually mowed by the locals using slightly longer pangas with the blade bent at the bottom to look something like a hockey stick, but sharpened on both sides. They would swing the panga back and forth with such efficiency that the lawn would end up looking great. When we moved to South Africa for obvious reasons, not quite articulated, I recall the many monkeys at Victoria Falls. We stopped on the Zimbabwean side to stretch our legs, and it was only when I realized what monkeys would get up to, as they always do. They raided our car for food and breaking the left windscreen wiper and forced a wing window open in their flurry. Moving forward to the late 60s and early 70s, yet again, I would be confronted by the imminent change by being conscripted into the South African Defence Force, not realizing what the ultimate result would be. I was on the Southwest African-Angolan border when the Portuguese were fleeing from the war between the MPLA and the FNLA, and later joined by SWAPO. To watch the families arriving with little but the stuff they could carry was very distressing. Some arrived on a little American Jeep, others with many families on the back of a 20-ton Mercedes six-wheeler truck. You name it. Mothers, children and dads crying out of pure relief as our South African troops assisted them, offering asylum and repatriation via Windhoek, Pretoria, and the like. Pretty soon after all that, hell broke loose. So many injuries, fatalities, and crippled trucks, troop carriers, and armaments wrecked to be repurposed as spares where possible. Many troops were so young, with parents so poor, that the money they got was desperately needed back home. Then there were the dreaded phone calls we had to make. Unlike in the movies, we would make a phone call or send a telegram as well as see to it that the money owing was sent off immediately. That was my job. 30-odd years later, and here we are, right in the thick of it again, with nowhere to go. unless you are young or wealthy, which I am neither. The only practical skill I have that will be of any use to anyone is I am still sharp shooter. I can hit an old English tickie at 100 meters without even trying, or an 8-inch gong at 500 with the rest. But as you know, that'll have to be a death wish for me. Life as an African certainly has had its challenges, including trying to compete in the job market despite all the forced interruptions, about which I succeeded reasonably well. I was able to give my daughters a 21st birthday party each, a wedding of their choice, both had the same, as well as making sure that my 2 girls became professionally qualified. This decision cost me dearly, without regrets, because I did not want them starting out with a big financial burden to carry. Am I so pleased with that decision, especially now given the current situation we find ourselves in? Cheers, and God bless you for all that you have done for your kindred. Kind regards, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. Look, it's memories like this that I really want to put on the record on this channel, because this archive one day will be used by people looking back at what happened in South Africa. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, stay safe.